that, some things are happening. I am running out of time for the day, so I might as well stream. I don't really have anything to talk about besides randomness. I think it's time to figure out what kind of video games I want to play. Since I have no idea when the Pokemon game's coming out. At this point, it feels like it's never going to come out. So, at least it stopped raining enough today to fucking go skate. Maybe I should just do a stream session of just goofing off and skating. Just streaming. Yes. Yes. Didn't get it yet. Yeah, okay. Checking out. Really, Doom's supposed to come out today, I think, or tonight. I probably won't be playing that if it's at 12 because I'm not doing that. I gotta go to bed. So, also, I didn't see it, so to me that means it's not there at all. Really, to be honest, I'm not feeling video games at all right now. I'm mostly just thinking about dumb shit. I guess Kick's not working or something on my end? I don't fucking know. Well, if it goes with the Kick, it does. If it doesn't, I don't really give a shit. You know what I'm saying? Wherever it goes out to, it goes out to. I'm just trying to live life and be not bored. I get back into skate. Stop the yawn, please. Dustin hasn't texted me. I texted him. I was like, I'm getting on. He hasn't said anything other than that. I texted him again. I said that like an hour ago, and I haven't jumped back on or seen anything. I want to do something though. Like I want to stream something. The new Doom. Talking about doing that. They might be waiting. Might be asleep to get up and then. I was thinking the other day, maybe Ollie physics versus myth, why the front foot should lift, not push. It should do both. It depends on how high of an Ollie you're trying to do. If you only lift, you would be Ollieing so hard all the time, right? So just saying. I was reading videos. I was going to see if we could find a video to watch of bullshit. Talk about, but, I mean, I don't know. I think the best thing we can do right now is just try to figure out what the fuck's going on with everything. Haven't heard any real news for Pokemon. The real problem is that I just don't really have anything to do. Like, I could play Zelda, I guess. I'm thinking about that. But, it's a lot of time and effort, and I don't know if I want to play Zelda for that long. I wish I wasn't so fucking tired. So. What's going on with this Doom thing? Let's look at this. This is from Yellow Flash. Apparently, people were freaking out about Doom for some reason. Doom: The Dark Ages Backlash reportedly getting canceled by angry gamer. What is this? This is just drama. If it's just drama, I'll be pissed.
It's over! People are apparently canceling their Doom Dark Ages pre-orders. The game is done. It's over. Put it out to pasture. So, here's what's going on. Doom, The Dark Ages, comes out, I think, tomorrow, right? Or is it out today? Now, the physical edition of this game is basically a game key. It's a code, basically. You put it in, and then you get to play the game. There's only, I believe, like 85 megabytes of data on the disc. You have to download the entire game. So really, what's the point of the physical disc? I actually canceled my pre-order. That doesn't mean I'm not going to get the game. I would have kept my pre-order if the game was actually on the disc, which it's not, which is a problem to me. I want at least the majority of the game on the disc, not for the disc to basically be a code. And it really doesn't make any sense when you consider the fact that I believe PlayStation discs hold like 100 gigs or something. It can hold a lot of shit on it. So to me, it's kind of inexcusable for them to do this. It's really, let's be real.
They all do that. What?
It's lazy. If I get a physical copy of a game, I should be able to play it. But honestly, you know, a lot of games really don't have all of the information on them anymore, to be fair. Just saying. But I did cancel my pre-order. Doesn't mean I'm going to get it. Just means I'm probably going to get it on Steam. If I can get a physical copy of a game, I like to get a physical copy of the game. But if the majority of the game is downloadable, then what's the point?
Yeah, they're still bitching about this stuff, which makes sense.
Just get the game on Steam now, because I mean, if I'm just
I get it. I'm kind of in the same way. Also, the new Nintendo stuff's looking pretty rough too. But I've been noticing a lot recently. Oh, this is actually. I thought it was like there's an actual reason people were decided to. Also, that maybe something happened. With Doom. Man, there's really just nothing going on. Like at all. I don't know. I feel like there's no news on anything anymore. Uh, watch scary stuff or like cryptid stuff or whatever. Maybe we will do that. But I don't know. I got to skate today. I was happy with that. I didn't skate the way I wanted to, but I wasn't. I wasn't really stretched out or anything. I was feeling kind of stiff. Probably because of the weather. It's been raining on and off all day. It dried up enough for me to skate, so I decided to skate. It was fun. But let me see if dude, I can't. I can't. Diddy stuff's pretty crazy. Most things to get off because of what they charged him with, more than anything. Which is not good. Like, they should have did way more investigating after they caught him. 'Cause it seems like they didn't do any after they caught him. Or after they got him, arrested him. I guess this one's jumping on. I don't know. Being slow about everything. Waiting for him to get here. The horrors of Walmart. Yeah, pretty. told you I was getting on at 10. I was waiting for you to like say something, and he didn't. And I was like, okay. Then I got on 11.
I can hear you. I just didn't want to say anything yet. Because
I figured. I'm just trying to find something to. I don't know. I'm not gonna be on much longer personally.
what did you do today?
Skated.
Oh, no.
Went to work.
Well, I figured you went to work.
Stopped raining long enough to dry up a bit, so able to skate at least out front.
Right. Doom. The menu music is epic.
Don't know. It wasn't on when I got on earlier.
It was. It worked at 8:04 when I tried it.
When at 9, it wasn't even on there. But I'm also not using a newer Xbox. Hmm. Hmm.
Oh my god. I have an ultra nightmare mode. The parry window is about 60%. One death, and it's all over. You gotta start all over again.
They had that mode earlier. They had that mode in the other games too. I think they called it something else though.
Only saves on chapter completion. Life sigils only heal you. And then obviously enemies are the most aggressive and hit the hardest.
Yeah. Skate park that's oversized, made for BMX.
That's great.
People are insane. They're like, "Oh, skate park's so oversized. Skateboarding's banned." No, skateboarding's banned because it doesn't actually work very well.
You can slow the game down. How slow? To half? You can do 50% in each direction. That's crazy. I never saw that setting before.
I don't know. I haven't really been. I don't know. It's hard for me to get motivated to do anything on stream. Because, like, I want to play a game, but I don't know what game I want to play.
Right.
I also want to just talk about random shit. I also want to, like, do, like, video reviews sometimes, or at least watch some video news stuff. I don't know. I'm just kind of out of it with this stream. Even making video content. I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know exactly what I want to do.
Right.
Kind of I'm sure something will come up. It'd be nice if I had another camera. That wasn't a phone. Speedboat. I'll just put a new shoe. Your shoe. What are you thinking, Dustin?
Right now, I'm playing Doom. I'm trying to deal with this sound lag. It's a bit distracting. Soundtrack's fucking amazing.
I'm sure. What is going? There's nothing going on that's like worth talking about.
I mean, really not, honestly.
There's just, I mean, I guess did he trial? It just seems like they charged him incorrectly, so he could get off.
What do you know?
Hmm. my shove-its are coming along pretty good.
Okay.
I gotta get the front sides down better, but back sides seems to work pretty good.
Nice.
I could land them almost every time moving at this point. At least enough to... Like, if I mess up, it's usually because of speed or something silly. You know what I mean?
Right.
Pavement's a little rougher than I thought, things like that. Or I hit a rough spot of pavement. Shove it. I did land a pop shove the other day, but it was sloppy as fuck. My toe was hanging off like 3 feet. Obviously not really, because I think my shoes are a foot long. Be 13 inches. But yeah, the craziest thing so far I've landed was a cancel flip or flip cancel or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, nice.
That was an accident though. I wasn't even trying to do that. I actually tried to do a heel, and then I kicked it backwards with my foot by accident when landing. When trying to land.
Oops. Amazing.
So. I'll eventually get a lot of stuff back. It's gonna be a while, but I say by the end of the summer, I also want to learn some like really old school stuff that I never picked up. That would probably help me. But balance it. It's faster than a Suron, but it's how many range are I saw this e-bike. It's essentially a downhill bike. It's pedal and throttle. It's supposed to be pretty good. This nuance. I mean, the things that I've seen about it, and they're not that expensive, shockingly enough. And they look really light, and the motor isn't like super big. Nothing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it just seems like it just doesn't have any fucking range. It's hard to get range as something that isn't mostly battery.
Right.
Like if you look at like the e-motos, like the whole thing is just a frame like I don't understand the logic, right? Like you're buying like people are like e-motos make sense because they're lighter. They're only lighter if the batteries are smaller. You can pick up a dirt bike. Like it's not hard. You know what I mean? Like if you have a 250, which most people have 250s, like most people aren't buying 500. Let's be honest. Okay. Maybe a 300. If it's a 2-stroke, it's going to be stupid light. But even a 4-stroke, it's not that heavy. People act like, oh, but it's like so much heavier. I'm like, not really. Like, I guess if you're like riding like Suron's lighter stuff. I don't know. I just find it weird. And the range is horrible in most e-bikes. Let's be honest about this. Especially for the price you pay for them. I mean, what is a Suron? Let me look at the price of the current Surons. That's just the most popular brand. That's why I'm going with it. It's the only reason, really. If it wasn't super popular, it would just be like, whatever. It's that and E-Ride. E-Ride? I forget who makes that, though. E-Ride Pro? Maybe that's the company's name. It's just Pro. Wow, you're like taking forever to fucking load a website. Jesus Christ. Website is trash. I'm gonna go with the Light B. Like how they made the frame sound like amazing. The frame, bro. It's and you're capped at a really low speed unless you're like gonna switch out the electronics and stuff. That's another thing. Right. With most dirt bikes, you can rev them pretty fucking high and keep them that high, while also like adding. Probably do this to a Suron, but I don't know if anyone makes stuff like this for Surons with different size like chain rings and shit. And how much do they go? I mean, they're super light. They're only 125 pounds. That's because it's like the lightest bike they got. Like, if you want one that would actually keep up with, like, your average 250, it's probably going to weigh in excess of, like, the same weight as a 250. Better the Ultra B or the Hyper B? Yeah, so I mean, so far from what I can tell, the Storm B is the better ones. I don't know enough about them, right? I'm not. The Hyper B is just like, I guess, a slightly smaller Light B. I don't know, but looking at the new Ultra B, they both are pretty heavy. They're around 200 pounds, not more. I guess depending upon which like thing you get. One has 209, 279 pounds. Also, the carrying capacity on it was pretty shit. Like 165 carrying capacity. I mean, unless you're... This might be... Maybe the Storm B's for kids? Wheelbase is big, though. I don't know. It makes sense. It also goes faster. Like, what? Range is better. I don't fucking know. Point being is you're gonna have the same weight. Yeah, I mean they weigh around the same for a 250. I mean that also depends on like is air cooled, if it's a 2-stroke, if it's a fucking water cooled, if it's a 4-stroke, things like that. But I just don't get it. I get it in the sense of like being able to like use them on the street or whatever, but you can use a dirt bike on the street. People are just lazy to do it. Uh, I mean, the fact that it's the one bike I was talking about was faster than a light piece. Crazy. Small the motor is and stuff. Might be a mixture of gearing. That. It's not hard to break out of beginner skateboarding. Just learn to kick flip, heel flip, shove it, pop shove it. Probably both manuals. And learn other stuff too. To be honest, skateboarding is just constantly learning.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Like, people think it's like this crazy thing. I'm like, no, it's just constantly learning. That's all it is. You're just constantly learning how to do new tricks and like what your board can handle and modifying your, not modifying, but like changing your board setup to handle different situations better, but also being able to do the same situations you've done before. It's all just constant learning of what you, your board, and the physics of the skateboard can do. So, that's all it is. Same thing with mountain biking, same thing with BMX, same thing with aggressive inline, if that's still a thing. Scooters, all that stuff. Because there's no, like, besides mountain bike racing, and there's no real like thing. It's just constant training, right? once you hit a certain point. It's also learning like what tires good in this weather condition or soil condition, things like that. Racing, but like tricks and stuff, or just riding trails differently. It's more just experience and learning how to do it than it is. Really anything else. Excuse me. You gotta treat it like a job almost. Actually, the best way to get, especially if you already have like a full suspension mountain bike and like, it's like, you know, an actual trail bike, whether it be high travel or regular travel, like 130 to 150 in the rear, or 130, 140 in the rear, 130 to 150 in the front. A lot of the stuff you can just do just by tuning, benching, and like finding the right PSI in this weather condition and this temperature and this type of dirt versus that type of dirt. Tricks are a whole nother level to it. But for racing, that's mostly it. Tricks. Mountain biking tricks are kind of limited because of the way, if you have one bike, because you can't just run, you know, a really long rear brake hose, right? You're going anywhere between 20, even upwards to 50 miles an hour on some of these trails, and you can't, especially like park trails and stuff that are made for this kind of thing. Right. Can't really just run a single brake. You can't really just like, you can try, you can set up a bike to do that, but it just gets heavier, and is it bad? No. Would I recommend it for the average person who does this, even learning tricks? No. Like I wouldn't recommend it at all. One, you have to find a whole new, you have to get a whole new system to fit a brake through, the front brake through the fork, kind of like the old school, what they used to do with the gyro systems. Right. The top bolt to your stem was hollow, so you can put your front brake cable through, or hose. In this case, it'd probably be a hose, more cable. In the rear, you would just have to make really, really long, and remember to spin it back every once in a while, or switch it up every time you do it. It's a lot of work. Do yourself. Going to a bike costs a lot of money to get your bike done professionally. It costs money to do it yourself too, but it doesn't cost nowhere close to as much. BMX, they pretty much don't even use brakes anymore unless they're happening to do like strictly dirt stuff. Things of that nature. BMX is getting pretty inexpensive for good stuff. So if you want to do bike, especially if you're young, you probably want to start with BMX. It does teach you a lot. It teaches you a lot about wheel placement. It's important, even in mountain biking. Going over technical terrain and stuff. Teaches you like basic bike movements that you can figure out pretty quickly because the bike's lighter and easier to move around with and things like that. But you can always start with mountain biking. It's not going to hurt you. It's going to be, your body's just going to get a little bit more tired faster. As far as like when trying to do tricks. Because they're just heavier. They're just naturally heavier. There's nothing about that. The wheels are bigger. The frames are bigger. Everything's just bigger on a mountain bike. I like that on purpose. Skateboarding is a weird sport that you can kind of do everything with one board as long as you learn how to do it with that board. You can technically do BMX on a mountain bike. So there's a few problems with it. One, it can't be a downhill. So there's a dual crown fork. I mean, you can use a downhill frame, I guess. But good luck finding a suspension that's over 170, 180, maybe even 190 that isn't dual crown fork, just a single crown. You got to get everything. You can do it if you want it that bad, but which I actually do because I have some pretty good ideas for that. But it just depends. Probably go with a smaller wheelbase. Smaller wheels. I'd probably go with 26 instead of 29 or 27.5, and that's becoming rare. I don't. Most of the 26 mountain bikes are dirt jumpers, not actual mountain bikes. So,
Right.
luck finding an actual mountain bike. I mean, if you can find an old one that has all the accommodations of modern mountain biking, do it, man. Like an older one, like I don't know, like 2015 or whatever. Maybe a little bit earlier than that. You know. But I mean, they do. I mean, there's not much travel, but they do make dirt jumpers with dual suspension. So.
Oh shit.
But it's like 100 millimeters, so it's not much. It's not like you're going to be hitting like super
Right.
chunky shit on that. But you can but you're going to be going slow. You're not going to be running through it like with a trail bike or an enduro. Just a trail, you'd be surprised at how much you don't need an enduro. People think they need it. Big travel trail, 140 in the rear. It's pretty good. I've ridden them before. They work well. Get 29er, run MX if you want. Maybe, depending upon how the linkage works, maybe you can get a couple more millimeters out of the rear by shock manipulation, rear suspension manipulation, whether it be putting on a larger shock with a little bit longer stroke or same size shock with a longer stroke. And the frame doesn't hit the way the suspension is set up, doesn't hit the seat stay or seat post, you'll be good. But you're only talking about like little tiny tweaks, which is, you know, good for if you want to tinker a lot, but it takes a lot of trial and error. And mountain bikes are expensive. So BMX isn't as expensive. There's not much you can do with the frame. You can change up the tires, you can change up cranksets, chain ring size, add pegs, leave pegs off, or try different pegs, different handlebar heights, different tire widths, and stuff like that. But there's not really much tunability to a BMX bike that is like already on the bike. Whereas mountain bike gives you a lot more. The only problem with mountain bike, you also can't use pegs because a lot of the newer mountain bikes are using almost all the newer mountain bikes are using through axles. So there's that. Well, I had an idea to develop a peg for through axles. I don't know if it would work though, or how well it would work. I'll have to figure that out one day. Also, they're not very. I can see dirt jumpers getting on board with that, and they're using through axles too now, so probably pretty smart. Plus, 26-inch BMX in general is getting bigger. I don't think it's ever going to get huge, like 20-inch or even 24-inch dirt jumping, but I take a shot every trick I miss. Just failure written all over it. When skating. Oh, I think for a lot of this stuff, though, you just gotta learn the basics and then start working on your thing working for you. So if it's a mountain bike, start working on playing with suspension settings and maybe different type of like instead of having air and air suspension, maybe go to coil or coil in the rear and air in the front, however you want to do it. Mess with the limitations of your frame for the rear suspension and the front suspension, because they do design the bikes to have a certain amount of travel. You can usually go 10 to 20 over without any major failure problems, but that's dependent upon the bike. Not so much dependent upon the bike frame, not so much dependent upon like what you throw on it. For BMX, like I said, tires, maybe lighter, different frame materials, different rim materials, rims all together, hubs. And mountain biking, you got the hub adjustment. You can get hubs, blah, 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 get better hub, whatever. Get better bearings for the hubs that you have. I would have to try some different. They're just standard cartridge bearings. You can buy these anywhere. Like, you can buy ones that aren't even meant, quote unquote, for. They're not made by a mountain bike company. Most of the bearings aren't made by mountain bike companies, anyways. They buy from. Same with skateboarding. They buy from a ball bearing manufacturer the sizes that they need and put it in a kit for you. That's pretty much all I do. I will say skateboarding gets their brands put on it, but since a lot of the bearings you don't see on a mountain bike, don't really see any at all. You can kind of see, I guess, the bottom bracket bearings, but I probably wouldn't swap them out ever. All the new bottom bracket stuff, even stuff that's like tapered and all that stuff, like the old school like tapered type cranks where you're 3-piece. And they're pretty good today. I mean, for $20 you could buy a tapered bottom bracket for, you know, a mountain bike or even a road bike that is built pretty tough and the bearings are good, and probably wouldn't change those out, but like your frame bearings, maybe your wheel bearings, yeah, just different size bearings. That's all it is. You can customize them if you want. Like, you can switch to different types. I don't know how well different types will do, but you know the differences in ball bearings. Actually, I was thinking the other day, instead of using cartridge ball bearings, what if, especially with I don't know like how they factor this in, and I don't know if they factored in for a reason. There's always flex in a frame, even if it's solid. It's not even like the suspension. There can be a lot of flex. Right. I wonder if they put the roller bearings, the ring roller bearings in there, if it would be better or worse. It might feel more solid, but I'm wondering if like damages would occur. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not like major damage, but like little damages, or just even not even that. Just like, is it actually faster? Does it run better? You know what I mean? Like the long tubular roller bearings. Always play with that. Different bearing types that fit in there, because obviously there's all kinds of fucking bearings. All kinds of crazy shit. And that's if they can make them to fit in there like that. I'm sure they can, but never looked into it. And the differences between like ABEC 5, ABEC 7, Swiss, ceramics. There's all kinds of shit going on. I don't know how well ceramics would hold up at a mountain bike platform. I feel like you would eventually end up crushing. I know ceramic's pretty tough, but with the repeated hits you get on especially super like funky, rocky, rooty trails, I don't know if it'll hold up as long as like steel. I might be wrong. I have no idea. There's all kinds of things you can do to like test stuff and just do your thing. It'd be better if you knew how to work on your own bike. Do this stuff. Try new things. Or had a mechanic friend or something, or someone who knew, you know, you hang out with regularly that knows how to do it. It would also be interesting to see if you could think of the word. Like in some vehicle applications, there's they're roller bearings, but they're in a cone. I wonder if that would be better for the fork, because it would be more. I feel like it would give it more stability. This like in the rocking back and forth. I mean, there's not a lot of instability. I'm not saying. What I'm saying is, I feel like it would stop that. Especially like the flared bottom on mountain bikes now, because they're flared out to be bigger. So it's not as big of a weak point.
Oh yeah.
And it would be interesting to have that whole bottom section, instead of having just a regular ball bearing cartridge or cartridge ball bearing, have a cone shaped roller bearing. But that might be, to integrate that might be more complicated than I'm giving it. I don't fucking, you know what I mean? I don't fucking know. Because you would have to have the race inside the frame. Races do wear out. The races would have to come out, and I don't know how easy that would be for that situation. So there is a reason that to keep a cartridge bearing set up, besides just that they're cheap and easier to get a hold of, and they're very customizable. Other type of bearings, you can just make ball bearings out of different materials. So. And some are smoother, some are not. The thing about ceramics, though, you do wear those out, right? Like even on skateboard, get worn out in skateboards. They get worn out really fast too. That's not a bad thing necessarily. If you're strictly looking for speed and like doing something like longboarding, they're not going to wear out as fast. Nowhere close, because you're not slamming it usually. There's longboard tricks people do. I'm not saying you don't do tricks that involve wheels slamming on the ground. I'm just saying, usually when you're talking about longboarding, you're usually talking about people who ride it like a surfboard or a snowboard in a hilly area of the world on street. Try to get off of the cone bearings, the way they're set up with that metal ring, and then there's like loose ball bearings in. Those aren't very good. They're not good at all. They call them sealed, but they're not really sealed. I think I've seen more dirt in those than in bottom bracket bearings my whole entire life. And that's like the dirtiest part of the bike. You're not really getting your axle's covered in hella mud. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or hella dirt. The dirtiest part of the bike is the bottom bracket because of how much dirt and mud and grease thrown up on it from the front tire, and the fact that it's, besides the wheel bearing axles, it's the most used bearings in the whole system. You know what I mean? And I've seen those more dirty than cartridge bearings in any wheels. Matter of fact, dirt and wheel bearings, it's a weird thing because it's not that common. Like, there's going to be dirt, obviously. It's not like it's going to be fucking like you could eat off of it or anything. But, it's crazy to me that, people don't fuck around with that a lot. At least in my opinion. Like, and like doing different setups, like adding a little bit more slack, getting one of those, I forget who makes them. Maybe it's King Creek. I'm sure everybody does now. Where it's like, it gives you like a slight degree tilt, inside of the, just from the, what do you call it? From the headset bearings. For the fork. And even maybe moving it backwards if you have to with that same set, because it's obviously offset. You have to do it right. And even turning it, just tuning your stupid shit like stems. That's another thing people forget a lot. Stems are really important. If you can get it to match with your fork's offset for your axle, that's probably the best roll you can get out of everything. I would assume. It's like a 1-to-1, right? Because it going forward does make it more floaty. When you turn, it feels more floaty and not as quick. If you make it shorter, it's like super twitchy and very quick. Then the, or the rake, people call it the rake. The offset of the front axle from the fork. People have called it the rake before. That's not what the rake is. I think the rake is just the line your forks follow, if I remember correctly. At least in motorcycle sense, this is. Yeah, just see, that's kind of why I want a full suspension bike. I want to like modify it within reason, within the frame's limits, but make it just so. The biggest thing I would want is it being easily tunable suspension. I wish they had a way to make shim stacks easier to remove from the shocks, which is like what controls the flow of the oil. But it has to be soaked in oil, the oil inside the shock. So like, you can't really do that. Right. So you're rebuilding a whole shock every time you do that. So it's really not worth it. You can get it really tuned to your frame and you can get it really tuned to yourself. But the ability to they do this at downhill races. They'll have their mechanics rebuild the whole shock to fine tune suspension for that track for that area, more so than just that track, because you're usually doing a few tracks. But if they're doing like if it's a 3-day event, they're doing 3 tracks the whole day. You could probably fine tune it in practice runs before and just have it written down and just switch it between days. I mean, they'll do whole replacement of oil downhill events, both the front and rear, fork and the, so it stops, so it's as cool as it can possibly be. run. I mean, also, if you go to coil, you have the spring adjustment, spring weights, how much force the spring puts out, weight, using air suspension only, adjustment to the PS, like small, tiny incremental adjustments. The PSI of the like you're gonna go with your base, but you might want it a little bit harder. You're gonna pump. You're gonna make it for your weight. You're gonna go to the base for your weight, but you can tune the PSI within that to either be a little bit harder, a little bit softer, however you want.
Right.
Stiffer, I should say. And you got the really fine adjustment with the knobs, which they're not really that fine. Real fine adjustments in shim stacks, but changing out shims and shim stacks. But I guess it's quick, easy tune. Just that alone, you can gain a lot of usage out of your bike if you just get good tires, try a few,
Get good. Okay.
And get ones that you like the way they feel, how they hook up, the conditions you're going to be riding in, things like that. And in the suspension, and tune your brakes to where they're very not too touchy, but when you need them, like when you can barely touch them and it slows you down just a little bit enough to where you can make a turn and you're not like slamming on the brakes halfway through. It's a huge life improvement. Just that alone. Dave's been talking about it on his brakes because his are way more touchy because they're hydraulic based. And he's like, just being able to like barely squeeze the rear brake to make a turn on a fast downhill section, like just barely touch it for like a split second, and it slows him down enough to where he doesn't feel like he's gonna slide out. That's pretty damn crazy. You know what I mean? Just that fine tuning. And then you can always like, you know, try different shit out, like try different parts on parts. Like maybe, you know, you have a set of brakes you really like and you like them, but you want to change the handle to be a little different. Things like that. Even create them if you can. You can definitely buy a CNC machine or a 3D printer that does metal. I mean, you wouldn't even need a very expensive CNC machine to do that. Like, you could buy a little desktop one for small shit like that. You just have to manually flip it. It's usually a 3-axis. Down. And, up, down, left, right, forward, back. You have to flip it when you need to cut a specific thing on the side and the bottom. You're not going to want to hit the deck to mount this mill. But, yeah, you could do a lot. You could do a lot with that. And people don't realize that. Some people don't care. Obviously, some people just do it for fun and they're just out there and they just want their bike to work. Understandable. But if you really wanted to get into the nitty-gritty of, like, your bike and trying to improve it just that little bit much more within the confines of different parts, fine-tuning of suspension and brakes, making sure you know what PSI type of tread you're using is good on your tire or where you ride most of the time, like in the wet and the dry and the sandy and the, you know. Skateboard's kind of the same thing. It just depends on, all of them do the same thing. Just mountain biking is a lot more in depth.
Right.
A lot more in depth. And skateboarding could be more in depth if it was easier to get decks made. How much does that cost? Because they use presses, so they probably have to have like a mold made. Right? So it's probably really expensive to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like what they're doing is they're taking wood, essentially plywood, cutting it into the shape of a skateboard that they need, and they're steam pressing it. So there's a lot of really hot steam hitting it from both sides, and they're pressing it to the shape that they want it. Then they're pouring it out and letting it dry and harden. Probably do some cleaning up at the edges because they're probably not perfect, fit in the mold yet. Things like that. It's crazy how they make skateboards. It's how they make drums too. Like they take wood and they like press it against the size of the like a barrel that has steam shooting through it and out of it. How they make the drum bodies. So but
Battles.
sorry, that wasn't supposed to. What the fuck? Anyways, time is. Alright, I'm probably gonna jump off here because I'm tired of shit.
Alright, man. I'll talk at you later.
Yep. Peace out.